All right. Hello, everybody. It is Larissa. I'm just looking for my chat box. There we go. Welcome to my Lunch and Learn, where we explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. And today I've got a really fun topic for you. Don't let your summer melt away your dreams. And so, if you're a professional woman that has a even better life and business that you're pursuing, you're like, I have a good life, but I know I want more out of life, and you're finding it difficult to stay motivated this summer. It's so hot, things just aren't working the way you would love. That momentum has slowed down from the spring. Maybe you're not present on your vacations because you're still thinking about work, but then when you're at work, you're distracted and you're not nearly as effective as you could be because you feel like you're just trying to catch up and put out fires until the next summer vacation or activity that you've got planned. And so it's almost like you've got one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. And you see yourself starting and stopping, starting and stopping, starting and stopping, and you're bouncing around, but you're not moving ahead. So if that sounds like you, don't worry, you're not alone, because this is really common. And today I'm going to give you some strategies and different ways of looking at it, things to consider so you can adjust yourself, your flow, and your routines to match this particular season. I want you to be able to keep pursuing your goals and dreams and enjoying summer. Yes, you can have your cake and eat it too. However, it's not just going to happen willy-nilly. So some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCook, author of Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away, Discover the Secrets to More Time, Money, and Freedom. And I'm a master results coach and CEO of Abundance Academy, where we help professional women who are already successful stop holding themselves back from what they are truly capable of. We help them manifest their secret desires and radically expand their lives and businesses. So I would love to know where you are coming in from. And if you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. If it's your first time, then just type in first time so that my team and I can welcome you. And I truly do appreciate you. I thank you for being here, and I appreciate your presence. So last summer, I had a big wake-up call for me, because it was the very first summer my son was out of daycare, and we had a very different change in pace. We had some camps and family vacations, barbecues, festivals, cottage weekends, and so much more. And it seemed like every single week was just so different. And the routine I was used to was not there anymore. It was like a rocky road. And at first, it was really difficult to keep up. I beat myself up. I felt bad because I wasn't being as productive. However, when I sat down and really looked at what I did do and thought through what summer actually meant, I was able to shift and navigate things for a great rest of summer. And I carry that forward to this year, which certainly made the transition easier. So before we get into strategies, I just want to lay a little bit of context. First, there are 4 seasons in the year. I want you to just think of the agricultural calendar. There are 4 seasons in the year. And when it comes to spring is the season that's after winter, before summer, where vegetation begins to appear. Baby bunnies are born. Life starts to show up, and it is an exciting time. The leaves turn green. The buds come out on the trees. Things are full of activity. There is a freshness. There are new ideas. And spring is often a really exciting time for people. After spring comes summer. This is traditionally the warmest season of the year. And agriculturally, this is where crops have got to be nurtured. And if they're not nurtured effectively, then you don't get a good harvest to support you for the rest of the year. So summer can be a lot of work. There could be a lot of sweat. There can be also a lot of bonding, because if you think back to the earlier days, people used to work together and come together during this time, so that not just each person can thrive, but the entire community can thrive. Autumn. Fall. This is a time where temperatures start to cool off. You may reap the rewards from the crops you've grown in the summer. So if you did a good job in the summer, fall can be awesome, awesome, awesome. Winter is traditionally the coldest season, and it's where plants and animals go into hibernation. You move slower, it's a time of quiet, it's a time of calm, and there's a whole lot more waiting around. And so patience can be required in winter. Now, when you think about your life and business, you're going to predominantly be in one season, and you may be in a few different seasons in different arenas of your life. So let's say you've got a hobby that you're taking on or a passion project and you're just starting it. Maybe it's in spring, but your business is in summer, gearing up towards fall. So you may be in a couple of different seasons in your life, but when you really start looking at your life and the components in it in terms of what season they're in, you may start to have a greater understanding and appreciation for where you're at. And you can also start putting better strategies in place. Now, these seasons aren't necessarily going to correspond with the actual calendar right now in your life. But it is important for you to start looking at what season you are in, because when you first conceive, let's look at the goal. When you first conceive of a goal, you're in spring. It's so exciting. You're brainstorming, you're full of ideas, you're full of possibilities, and you're taking action. Things are happening. And then summer hits, and what happens? You do the work. You realize it's actually work. Like, oh, it's not just this cool idea. I actually have to do something about it. Maybe things or challenges come up that are not anticipated. Sometimes these challenges take longer to solve, and they may not feel natural for you because you've never encountered them before. Maybe you don't even want to do some of these things, but you know they must get done to get you through to the other side. And depending on the size of your goal, this summer season, it's not usually just 3 months. It can last anywhere from a few weeks to a few months to even a few years or decades or over the course of a business. And so this is often where people want to quit. Why? Because it gets hard and they don't anticipate the work and what's actually required. And they aren't thinking long term. They're just looking at their immediate now and realizing, I don't feel good. I'm tired. I'm not thriving the way I thought I would be back in spring when I had this cool idea. So after spring or after summer comes fall. So in the fall, you manifest your goals and dreams. And it is exciting because this is where you get the big payoff. And it's filled with a lot of emotion. It's actually one of the shortest seasons, unfortunately, and can typically last from a few seconds to a few hours, maybe a couple weeks, or even a few months. It's usually a lot shorter. It's not typically very long, but we spend all this time working for this moment. And so this is why it's so important to appreciate the journey along the way, to learn the lessons and realize that it's not the goal you're after. It's about who you become along the way. That's so much more critical and so much more important. And after fall comes winter. You reap your rewards, and then you need to hit the pause button. You might spend more time in quiet. Maybe if you're in business, you might be building systems to support future growth. This is the unsexy stuff where you clean up messes, you get ready for another spring season. It may feel like not a lot is happening because you're not seeing the results pay off right away. But this season actually paves the path for a fruitful spring when it's time for it to come back again. So just think about this for yourself, whether in your own personal life, maybe in hobbies, passion projects, your goals, in your business. What season or seasons are you currently in? Okay, so think about that. And you can share in the chat. I'd love to know, what seasons are you in your life? Okay. And that can help you dictate better strategies, because then you won't feel bad when things aren't working according to what you think you should be doing. Okay. So what does this have to do with you and summer and now, this summer that's full of temptations, like kids are around, pool parties, beach days, meals on the patio, barbecues, that things are pulling you away from the routine that you're comfortable and productive with? Well, I'm going to invite you to zoom out. Okay, so zoom out and look at the timeline of your life, not from where you are. So we're often used to looking at our life from here. We're like, oh, this is me, this is my life. If you're going to look at your life in front of you, it would be right there. Or you might be able to go within and feel it as though you're there now. But what I want you to do is not take the bug's eye view. But if you think of a bug down in the grass, you're like, wow, the grass is really tall. And there are a lot of barriers and barricades. And if you zoom up and take what Bob Proctor refers as the God's eye view. This is where you look at the timeline of your life. You look at the past, the present, and the future, and start seeing all the things around you that support you, that encompass you, that you may not have actually been aware of as you've been in the weeds. You're going to take a look at your life and your place of being from a very different perspective. And you're going to start seeing that certain things will need to get done to move you ahead and, let's say, take care of your crop or your goal. And other things can wait. They can be eliminated, they can be delegated, and they can be adjusted. But there are 3 things I want you to do when it comes to your summer. So after you take this God's eye view, I want you to make sure to do these 3 things. First is do something for yourself every single day. Have a morning routine, and I'm going to suggest in the morning because if you wait till the end of the day, probably not going to happen. Do something to set your mind, body, spirit, and soul up for success. Visit your dreams and desires. And if you've had a morning routine, if you've had a routine where you spend time with yourself, you may need to actually adjust it. Okay, so you may start shifting some of the things that you do in it to suit this time better for yourself. Even something as simple as I'm going to do my morning routine outside because it's beautiful. It doesn't seem like a big adjustment, but it's going to shift your environment and start shifting your outcome. So one of the things I do with my clients, and this started as an experiment, and then they said, this is too good, you can't stop, is a 6:30 a.m. call. And so we do this call to visit our goals, our dreams, give gratitude, set intentions, learn something, apply it directly right that day to our life and business. And we do that Monday to Friday, every single week, whether we're on vacation or not, because this gives us something consistent to come back to. And if you're on vacation, you just look at it a little differently. But if you don't keep coming back to something, some kind of consistency, you will fall off track and it's tough to get back on. Okay. So every single day, spend time with yourself. And I promise it sounds like a lot if you're not used to this, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it in the long run. Okay. This is where you plan. This is where you set yourself up. The second thing, give yourself permission to work differently. And make sure to do at least bare minimum 1 goal achieving activity every day, even if it's small. So ultimately, it's the start and stop that ultimately stops and demotivates people. It's hard to build momentum from a standstill, to just get going. It's not easy when you're at a complete stop. However, it is easier to ramp up a ball that's already moving. So if there's some momentum, even if it's small momentum, it's easier to get back on the wagon. They say your business is 90 days behind you. And even if you're not in business, it takes time to build momentum toward your goal. So if you stop in the summer and abandon your goals and dreams, it's going to take you like 3 months to ramp up. And you know what's going to happen? Oh, Thanksgiving and Christmas have come around and time for another break. Oops, I just finally built momentum and crash, not working anymore. Have to take another break. And then what happens? It takes a few months to build up and spring break is here. Spring is here. We want to enjoy it. And then right after spring comes summer and you're going to constantly feel behind. You're going to be hitting the gas and slamming the brakes over and over. And so you never want to stop. However, you can do things differently during off times. Okay, so I'm not saying do everything the exact same way all the time. However, perhaps during slower times or times off or these off times, you may want to do things in smaller or larger blocks that are more concentrated. So let's say maybe instead of working 8 hours a day, you'll work 3 hours a day and you'll do it earlier in the morning before everyone wakes up, so that you have more free time during the rest of your day to enjoy yourself. Maybe you'll work 2 or 3 really big solid days. This is what I used to do. I found I had one of my first businesses, I was unproductive. And when I tracked my time and really looked at it, I was like, I love fully immersing myself like 18 hours a day. It was a little too much now. However, I went crazy for 2.5, 3 days a week. And then I just took the rest of the week off. I tapped in like an hour or half an hour a day and just ran the business. But I did my work in 2 to 3 solid days. And that worked really well for me. So I had larger blocks, but then I gave myself permission to play with the rest of my week. So you can start shifting how you use your time so you can free time for some of these activities that you like going away to the cottage, like spending more time with your kids. So you may just have to another thing you can do is you can also start shifting your energy to, perhaps instead of work on task-oriented things, can you add more creative projects that you haven't previously given yourself time and attention to do? So just make sure the daily basics of what's required are getting done, either by yourself or by your team. Okay. So the second point is give yourself permission to work differently, but do one or more. You can do more, but bare minimum, one goal achieving activity every single day to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward so the momentum never stops. Okay. Third, if kids are around or if team members are around, you want to help set people up for success. So let's say if kids are in your world, maybe you can give them some responsibilities and a project or something like that they can, like responsibilities they can contribute to in the household or in your business, or even have them work on a special project where they can birth it, they can nurture it, grow it, and see it come to fruition. If team members are going away on vacation, you may need to help them adjust their flow so that they can actually leave and not have to be thinking about work, so that they can come back truly refreshed, energized, and invigorated. So either way, this is where a bit of planning will come into place. And this is best to do before you get there. And if you've missed the boat, do your best to do a better job next time. Okay. No worries. It's okay. You can always do a better job next time. You haven't missed the boat. So 2 other things I want you to consider are communicate with those around you. If you're making changes to yourself, your business, or your life, you need to let other people know what they can expect of you and what you may be expecting of them. People cannot read your mind. And if it's radically different than previous expectations you've had, don't expect them to be on board right away. You may actually need to have a few conversations with them and put some steps in place for this to happen. You've got to be clear on what you're asking for first. However, when you have that clarity, then communicate it with others around you. And the second thing I want you to consider is just be fully present wherever you are. Give yourself permission. This might sound easier said than done. Okay, this is totally easier said than done. This morning on my 6:30 a.m. success call, I actually had a client. She was on vacation and she's like, I'm not working much. I've got some work to do. I'm going to take some work with me, but I'm going to do these morning calls because they really make such a difference to me. And so she's on the 6:30 a.m. success call and she realized, she's like, I have not been present for the first few days of my vacation. I worked all the way up. I'm thinking about work when I'm out at dinner. And she said, I'm not really proud of that. That's not what I had intended. And she realized that. And she didn't actually need to beat herself up. But when she had this realization, because she was checking in every day, she decided to just hit the reset button and took time to really think about what it would be like to be fully present with her family, fully present with her work when she needed to get it done, and stay in a good spirit. It is so important to mentally be there. And it's almost like when you move into a different segment, Abraham Hicks talks about segment intending, where you set an intention for each new segment of your day. However, let's say you are working a little bit while you're away or on vacation, or you have certain responsibilities you need to fulfill. Close the family door for a few minutes and fully be there at work. Maybe take a few breaths, journal, set an intention, and be fully there. Get what you need to done, plan what you need to for the next segment that you're coming back to, and then close that door. Say, okay, I'm done. Decide that you're done. You don't need to do anything about it until the next point in time. So you could close that chapter and then set another intention for how you want to be present. It might seem a little bit mechanical at first, and that's okay. That's okay. However, when you get used to doing that, it can make such a world of difference. Close one segment, set an intention for the next one. Close that segment, set an intention for the next one. And so often we just let one thing spill into the next, spill into the next, spill into the next. But if you just take that moment to hit the pause button, like I said, whether it's with a breath, whether it's with a journaling prompt, whether it's just with shaking your body off, or maybe there's a cool song that you like to use as your transition song. We talked about transition toys they used to use at daycare, which is actually a really cool concept. When my son was younger at daycare, they would give the kids a transition toy when they put their snowsuits on. But this was a toy they could use for 2 to 5 minutes while they were moving from the inside to the outside. And I think so often as adults, we forget the importance of transition time. So tune into your spirit and see what spirit is calling you to do. However, I would strongly suggest that, because that way you could be fully present wherever you are. So I hope this has been really helpful, looking at things in the construct of the seasons, really looking at your life and business in this way, from that God's eye view. So in summary, the 3 things I would love you to do is: 1, do something for yourself every day. Get your mind, body, and spirit set and in check. 2, give yourself permission to work differently and keep moving forward each and every day. And 3, help set those around you up for success. This takes a little planning. This takes a little effort. This takes clarity and deliberate thought. It will pay off dividends in the long run. So make sure to communicate this with people around you, so they don't need to read your mind. So set those clear expectations and give yourself permission to be fully present, because you're going to feel better about it, and so will they. So I hope this has been helpful. These are really simple things, and I know simple is not always easy. The key is to actually do something about it. So if you're a high achieving woman and you're looking to clarify your goals and dreams and desires, if you want to truly live your life on purpose, elevate your daily routines and practices so they're way more effective than they are, and have accountability and community of high achievers support you in your goals, dreams, and desires, I would love to offer you a free consultation. No pressure, no hard sell, just a quick call to determine if working together actually makes sense. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, just mention consult in the chat below and my team will set you up. So just mention consult in the chat below if this does sound like something you want to have a conversation about. And I do thank you for joining me. I can't wait to see you shine and hear about how you are shining the rest of this summer. I hope this has been helpful. I will see you guys again next time. Again, make sure to book a consult by typing consult in the chat below, and we could have a beautiful conversation.